Hi everyone, and welcome to Legislative Insight. I'm Margie O'Brien. The Republican voice, that is the focus for our program. And as many of you know, the House of Representatives in Rhode Island have 75 members. 11 are Republicans. Joining us now is the House Minority Leader, Patricia Morgan. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I wanted to talk about some of your priorities for this session. First though, what's your sense? How has the session been going?
It's moving along. It's right on schedule. We kind of divided into three where we put bills in, then we hear the bills, and now we're starting to vote on them. So it's right on schedule.
Anything that was surprising so far? Any bills that came up? Any topics discussed?
No, I can't think of any. I mean, I'm a little perturbed about the PawSox rearing its ugly head again. That's a private investment. I think you know that we Republicans are dead set against giving them money, taxpayer money. They bought it, private investment. They should use private money to build their own stadium if they want one.
Do you feel like they know this? I mean, after the initial rollout where it was such a bad taste in people's mouths, they have to come up with a better idea this time.
You know, they keep coming back, though. I mean, I think the people of the state rose up last session and pretty definitively said, in fact, I couldn't find one person who was in favor of building a new stadium.
I think they like the idea that maybe this great ballpark would be in Providence, attract the crowds, but the idea that the cost is going to be passed on to the taxpayers, people just couldn't accept.
Exactly, and it's minor league baseball. We're not getting the Red Sox here, right? As good as the PawSox are, and I know it's a great family venue, it still was bought as a private company. Government shouldn't constantly be going out there looking to subsidize private companies, and especially not insiders. I mean, those gentlemen who bought it are worth collectively over $1 billion. They certainly have the money if they think it's a good investment. That shouldn't be falling on taxpayers' shoulders. But they came back.
Would it have been a terrible precedent too? Would it have been a terrible precedent too?
It's just a bad deal for taxpayers. If you look at all of the research that is done, academic research, economic research, stadiums never turn a profit for the taxpayers. Never. We shouldn't be doing it.
And that's your bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Absolutely.
Let's get into some of your other priorities. I know that one of the big focuses was about the municipal spending and that we could be doing better in Rhode Island.
So you know I really support the Speaker's plan to eliminate the car tax. I think it's a hated tax that actually hurts just about everybody in the state, right? Everybody who has a car is paying the car tax. So I support his call to let's eliminate it. But all that money can't come from the state budget. It's just a huge amount of money. I think it's $240 million all told. We can certainly find some money in the state budget to get it started, but eventually municipalities are going to have to be able to control their spending. So we'll try to figure out. I know, by the way, that municipalities have squeezed out most of the waste in their budget. I'm not asking them to go into their budget and squeeze more out, but I'm saying we can give them tools that will keep them from having to raise taxes and raise taxes and raise taxes every year. So yes, the municipal spending reduction package.
And a lot of the suggestions in the past were to get rid of the duplicate efforts. If this town is doing this and this town is doing this and they're 3 miles apart, perhaps we could centralize things.
Right.
What's the opposition? Is it just that Rhode Island, we don't do it that way?
There's a lot of pushback from the municipal unions, quite frankly. You know, once you're kind of set up, you got your little kingdom, you really don't, you want to keep your kingdom in place. Even if you know that it would help all the taxpayers, it's a hard place for them to go to. I get that. But we are not a lightly taxed state. And if we want the car tax to go away and stay away, we have to make some of these changes. So, Representative Lancia, for the last couple of years, has been talking about the 911 system. Every year in our electric bills, or our phone bills, in our phone bills, we pay a 911 charge. Every month it's $1. And on our cell phones, I believe it's $1.26. Sounds like not too much money, right? Except it's
It adds up.
$15 million a year.
Wow.
And it's been $117 million over the last 8 years. It's a lot of money.
So this is on everyone's
Phone bill.
monthly bill that they probably haven't even seen before. So $1 for landlines.
Right. So Representative Lancia is saying this is a bait and switch because what we actually use for 911 services is a third of that. So there's another $9+ million that we don't use.
And where does it go?
Into the general fund.
Wow.
All right. So he would like to say, let's stop charging it. I looked at it and said, this is a way also, and I asked Representative Lancia if I could put this bill in, and he gave permission to take that $9.5 million a year and start a statewide CAD system. So it's computer-assisted dispatch. Other states have tried it, and they're saving an enormous amount of money. So we could probably use our 911 personnel, and this is a computer-assisted. So it is electronic, it is faster. So when we talk about response times, it can cut the response time by 300%. That's 2 to 2.5 minutes where we can have first responders going out to that emergency that much quicker. That saves lives.
Give me an example of how it would work. Someone dials 911 on their phone. Are they getting an instant recording that then sort of acts as like a triage where how important is this call?
Because it's computer assisted, as soon as the call comes in, they know where it's being made from. And they say, what's the emergency? Fire or medical? Medical, boom. They hit a switch and it goes directly to that. If it's the police department, it goes directly to that city. They know exactly where the call is coming from, and they can get the information electronically. So they can be in a rescue, they can be in their police car going to the emergency, the break-in, the accident, or whatever, just like that. And they can get information as they're going through their radio equipment, through their computer equipment. So as they're driving there, they're being told what the emergency is. They can do a background check. So maybe if there's a database that can be accumulated. So if this is the same place, or perhaps somebody is breaking in and they know who it is, they know that this person has been arrested in the past, might have a gun.
People are talking to each other.
So it makes our first responders safer. They get there quicker. They know the emergency, the details of the emergency when they get there. For instance, if it's a heart attack and it's a 300-pound victim, they know send an extra person to help carry them out of the house. So all of these things, it just is such an upgrade. In addition, it's less expensive.
So I'm trying to envision, does it have to have a central location, or with technology, could it be in different spaces around the state?
So we have the 911 system right now, so you could use them. And then, obviously, it's computer upgrades. But there are some dispatch systems in our cities that are woefully old. They're old, they're outdated, they're not doing the job. They actually slow down the response time. But the cities and towns don't have the money to upgrade. Right. Another thing, if it's for fire, there's a community rating that's given, and depending on that rating, your insurance premium can be higher or lower. Well, this kind of a system would lower your insurance premiums. Well, I can't guarantee it, but it would have a beneficial effect.
And it sounds to me like it would be more efficient because it's only done one way, and you're not taking into consideration how each district does things.
Right. And the towns can save money because they won't need the personnel. They won't need the people in their dispatch anymore because it's all done electronically.
How confident are you that this could move this session?
I don't know. I think this is brand new. People haven't heard of it before. Maine, New Hampshire, and New Jersey, I think, or Nevada. I can't remember which one. There's 3 states that have already done it. They have really good results. It's less expensive, better for constituents and for first responders, cuts response time, has a database. I mean, there's a lot of positives.
And we're talking big money here.
That's
Maybe people would be supportive of this if they thought this was a way to cut the car taxes, like just one more avenue to actually seeing relief in their bills.
That's right. You need to give municipalities ways to control their spending. It's really, there's a lot of reasons to do it. Let's hope that it's given a fair hearing. There's the other part of this. Our constituents get so cynical that we charge a fee here, but we don't use it for 911. We're using it for something else. We need to start being honest with people, and using the money this way for emergency communication system is being honest. It's no longer a bait and switch. We're saying we're taking your money for 911, but we're actually spending it somewhere else. There's a real cynicism from people out there. We need to stop that. We need to be more honest with them.
You know, I saw a quote in one of the press releases. It says that you would like to demonstrate integrity with the taxpayers on these issues. Is that your motto for almost everything you do?
Absolutely.
All the legislation you put in, the policies you support, you're looking out for the taxpayers. It comes down to how their money is spent.
Absolutely. I mean, they deserve that from us, that every dollar we take from them is used responsibly, efficiently, well, and ethically too.
And is it wise to look at the car tax because it does impact everyone? I mean, we were talking a little bit about the governor's tuition plan. That can only impact certain families in Rhode Island.
Right.
So a lot of people would be like, not my thing. But the car
and
tax...
not the poorest families either, so it's not even need-based. But you're right, it's a small, discrete group of people, and they'll be happy to get the money.
Sure.
But a car tax benefits everyone. And imagine, I mean, here in Providence, their car taxes are so high. But what if they had that extra $600, $700, $800 in their wallets? They could also prime the economy because they'd spend it. Maybe they'll buy a chair, maybe they'll buy a new television set, maybe they'll take their wife out to dinner or something, right? All of those things increase economic activity, which then is good for the state.
So getting back to one of the first things you said is the session is sort of broken up in three parts, where initially it's putting in the legislation, hearing it, and then comes the fun part of the budget. And we're moving in that direction. How do you think that will go? I mean, last year, again, you know, I only have a year on this job, but last year was somewhat controversial. Things were put off towards the end. We had a very lengthy session the last night. Talk is that that's not going to happen, and that things are going to get sort of tagged for different days. We're going to take care of this on a Tuesday. We're going to take care of this on a Wednesday. Is that the approach to getting this budget through?
I mean, we're going to have a challenging year. I think everyone knows by now from the estimating conferences that our spending is up. The UHIP didn't give us any savings. In fact, I think it's the other way around. It caused more spending. And our revenue, the money that government takes, is down. So it's going to be a challenging year. How that all comes together, I mean, I obviously have things that I think we could do, and I hope to have some influence there. But we can't have those kinds of long sessions. I can't. I just can't stay awake and be focused and really do a good job for my constituents. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm spent. And you'll find people are kind of half sleeping. That's not a way to make legislation. Everything we do in this building affects other people's lives and affects a lot of lives. We have to take that seriously. And you can't do that when you're half asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're so tired you don't even want to ask a question. So I think we need to stop that. And I do think that there are ways, to do the preparation up front so that it runs more smoothly and we don't have those late night sessions.
So I know that each year, if you went back even 10 years, you could probably pick one thing like, oh, this is what the talker was of the session. Do you have a prediction of what this year's might be?
The car tax, I imagine. I think the speaker is looking to take $40 million. It has to come from somewhere else. And there are people who are against that. I mean, every bit of spending has a constituency, and people want to keep that money. We talked about why don't we do consolidation in the municipal level, because people want to keep that money for them, for their for their little piece of the pot.
But something's got to give.
Well, at some point we really have to think about what does Rhode Island look now, and what really needs to change. We are one of the highest tax states in the union. It is hurting us. It is one of the reasons businesses don't want to come here. In my municipal spending package, or reduction package, I have disability pensions. We know that there are 15 cities and towns that have pension systems that are in critical status. That means every year those towns are raising taxes to feed the pension system. We really need to do municipal pension reform. Not going to be easy. I don't think we're going to tackle it this year as much as I put the bill in. But we know that disability pensions are broken. It's a start to try to get some rationality into that spending. So car tax is another thing. Again, if you want the car tax to go away and stay away, you have to tackle some of these really difficult and thorny issues. But they have to be. We have to start thinking about the average Rhode Islanders that are out there, not just the people who haunt this building.
All right.
So, car tax, I don't know what else is on the docket. The raising the minimum wage, I think that's going to happen.
That's been a big talker all session long.
But the earned sick time, I get it. When people are really sick, they shouldn't be coming to work, and yet we're putting an enormous weight on our job creators. If they could afford to give sick time, they would. No one wants a sick employee coming to work. And if they could be magnanimous, they would. Or if it was a good employee, somebody who's been there for a year, right? No problem. But temporary part-time, people who maybe aren't the best employees, right? I think that's a difficult one.
So you see it as more of a luxury than a necessity?
If you're really sick, it's a necessity. But I worry again, we need to get jobs for Rhode Islanders. The best social program is a good job, right? Absolutely. We need to focus on how we can take the impediments off of our state so that we can have more jobs, better jobs. We're arguing over minimum wage jobs. That's not what I want Rhode Islanders to support their families on. I want them to get great jobs, jobs with futures, jobs with the ability to get promotions and raises.
Careers.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, you've given us so many topics to talk about for the next show.
Okay.
But I do think that it'll be interesting to see how the car tax plays out, how the session plays out, and the budget.
Yes, and it's obviously going to come up. The speaker wants to do this over 5 years, so it'll keep coming up. But we really need to make other good choices, because I support him on this. It needs to be eliminated. It needs to go away.
All right.
Okay.
Patricia Morgan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Leader. And that is our program for Legislative Insight this week. I'm Margie O'Brien. Thank you for joining us.